red zone weather in Bruton, Alabama, with meteorologist Spinks Megginson. A severe weather update starts right now.
Multiple intense tornadoes going to be possible across parts of the Deep South. We could have a tornado outbreak as we get into Saturday and Saturday night. A rare level 5 out of 5 high risk of severe storms, including potentially intense tornadoes for parts of West Alabama, Central Alabama, and much of East Mississippi. Surrounding that, an expansive, large, level 4 out of 5 risk that extends from West Georgia into Mississippi, eastern Louisiana, all of Northwest Florida, and mostly all of Alabama. And so this is a significant severe weather risk setting up for Saturday. We've got all the details for you on that. Before we get there, we may have some issues in the overnight hours, specifically across parts of West Alabama. I don't think we're going to have major issues down around the coast or in Northwest Florida or South Central Alabama overnight, but specifically West Alabama, west of the Alabama River, could have some issues overnight, and it's all because of this. We've got a big area of low pressure up here in Kansas, trailing cold front, damaging straight line winds, tornado watch up here in Missouri and Arkansas coming into the St. Louis metro, and on the southern flank of that, we've got this tornado watch back here in Louisiana and Mississippi that's up until 10 o'clock tonight. Storms firing now near the Mississippi River. So this is not a projection, this is a live look at the radar as it stands now. And you can see a few blips firing. Those could become supercell storms in this zone where we could see a few tornadoes over the next few hours. Some of those storms could reach West Alabama overnight, and that's why we've got a level 2 out of 5 severe weather risk in place for much of North Mobile County, Washington, Clark, Monroe, Wilcox counties, and back to the northwest, even higher risk zones. And keep in mind, this is valid through 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. So could have some strong storms earlier on in West Alabama and southern Mississippi. This is the convective outlook valid through 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. You see, the Storm Prediction Center has expanded the level 4 out of 5 risk down to Jackson, Mississippi, including much of the northern half of that state. And it's because of the storms firing now near the Mississippi River that have prompted this level 4 risk. A few tornadoes, maybe strong tornadoes, will be possible overnight in that zone. And we do have now a wind advisory in place for all local counties. This is in place because of the likelihood that we'll see gusty winds ahead of the storms tomorrow. So kind of similar to what we saw a few weeks ago, all those winds out ahead of that line of storms that move through. Another wind advisory all day on Saturday. Now, let's get in there and look at how it may happen. And this starts at 9 o'clock, so in just a little bit. And you see by midnight, here's your timestamp, so watch your time up here. We could have some activity in West Alabama. Overnight hours could have some strong to severe storms in West Central Alabama. Think places like Tuscaloosa, Livingston, back up to Aliceville, up to Hamilton. Near the state line back here in Mississippi is the first batch of thunderstorms being most likely in the overnight hours. This look would be valid at noon tomorrow. And that's when our big risk kicks off across South Alabama and Northwest Florida. You see these storms firing across southeast Mississippi. That is not a good look. That is probably numerous supercell thunderstorms, paving the way for what could be a significant tornado outbreak across the Deep South. We don't say that to scare anyone. We're just telling you what we're seeing on the convective allowing models here. That look is valid at 6 o'clock. Band of supercells coming into West Alabama, advancing across our region and across much of the northern half of the state as well. And so this is going to extend into tomorrow night. That look is valid at 10 o'clock. Could have some supercells moving across our region. And this is kind of an interesting note. These storms may kind of ramp up in the middle of the night as we get into tomorrow night while crossing our region and kind of exiting to the east. That's kind of a trend that we've observed today in some of this model guidance. So that's something we'll be watching. But the whole thing is going to be a mess, quite frankly, and we could have multiple significant tornadoes, particularly during the daytime and evening hours of your Saturday across parts of Mississippi and West Alabama. That's going to be your hot zone where we could see the greatest risk of intense EF3 plus tornadoes. Here's the local view, and let's go through it again tonight. West Alabama. Here's the Alabama River right here. And back to the west, this zone, you see that potential supercell storm at midnight. This would be in parts of Mobile, Washington, Clark, Choctaw, and Marengo counties. And so west of the Alabama River tonight, you got a severe weather risk, and you got to have a way to hear urgent warnings. In fact, I would encourage everyone to have a way to hear warnings overnight, just in case we happen to have a few strong storms. I think the bigger issues will happen tomorrow p.m. 8 a.m. tomorrow, we may be quiet, completely quiet, in fact. That is a possibility. That look is valid at 11 a.m. We still may be quiet. So hopefully we'll get a break in the middle of the action in the morning hours. But by the afternoon, there's 2 o'clock, more in the way of supercells approaching from the west. And some of those likely would be strong storms, severe storms, in fact. And here's your, what we call the day 2 outlook. This is the outlook valid for Saturday. Here's your high risk. Here's your level 4 risk. Both are significant. So what you don't want to see is a group of storms crossing that. And unfortunately, that's exactly what we've got going on as we get into Saturday. That look is valid at 4 o'clock. Could have some activity across our region at that point, but this would be your main batch of storms near Interstate 59 in southeast Mississippi. 6 o'clock tomorrow night. Storms possible across our region, but here's your big batch of storms coming in tomorrow evening. And this is going to be the main deal. This has trended a bit later, and so it looks like 6 p.m. to midnight may end up being your core risk window on Saturday for the main event. And some of these storms could be producing tornadoes, and you kind of see them flare up as they're beginning to get on the eastern side of our region. That's midnight tomorrow night, not midnight tonight, but tomorrow night. And those storms could be producing tornadoes and damaging straight line winds. This may morph into a squall line as it's kicking out of here, and the damaging wind risk may kick up kind of at the last minute. These storms are kicking out of Okaloosa and Covington County on the east side of our region. So, in summary, round 1 tonight, overnight, between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. across West Alabama. Should be fine if you're to the east of the Alabama River. Tomorrow, noon, Saturday to 3 a.m. on Sunday. Big batch of storms in Mississippi going to cross our region from west to east. Intense tornadoes not out of the question. Damaging winds, large hail up to maybe even, say, baseball size, not out of the question, particularly in these storms that move from west to east in that main event tomorrow. So a level 5 out of 5 risk for areas to our north, but I don't want to get so caught up in the specifics that we forget the key message here. We all have a severe weather risk as we get into Saturday and Saturday night. So again, let's look at this because these convective outlooks are able to be broken down into specific hazards. So this is what we call the categorical view. In other words, this takes all of the storm hazards and puts them all together. And when you get a level 4 and level 5 risk, not good. Usually a combination of hazards. In this case, it is. So it's driven by this. This is the tornado outlook. And this takes away damaging straight line winds and hail. This is just the tornado outlook. And the maximum zone for tornadoes, we kind of previewed this last night. If you watched our live video last night, it's in place for central Alabama, west Alabama, and east Mississippi, all the way back to Jackson and areas there just to the north of Hattiesburg. That's your maximal zone. Surrounding that, you've got a big chunk of Alabama, Mississippi, and eastern Louisiana, along with all of northwest Florida, in what we call the enhanced zone for tornadoes here. And really, it goes beyond the enhanced risk, the level 3 risk. This is a level 4 out of 5 tornado risk. This is level 5, this is level 4. So that encompasses all of us, a really, really big deal in terms of tornadoes. This is a product that we call the significant tornado risk. And in my years of doing Red Zone weather, this is the first time that this map is all in purple. So no matter where you're watching from, you have a risk of strong EF2 plus tornadoes. That includes all of Alabama, nearly all of Mississippi, eastern Louisiana, Georgia, and Tennessee. So parameters here are really high. I don't want to use the phrase off the charts. We don't get dramatic around here, but parameters are high that could support a few significant tornadoes. If there's any bit of good news that I've seen today, it's this. This is what we call the damaging wind risk. This strips away the tornado risk and the hail risk. This is specifically damaging winds. And what the Storm Prediction Center has done, they have X'd out the highest wind zone that was in here. And that may appear to be kind of a good thing on the surface, but I'm a bit concerned because what it tells me is the folks at Storm Prediction Center are confident in their tornado forecast. This will likely be a band of supercells crossing our region that would mitigate the damaging wind risk just a bit, but unfortunately that makes the tornado risk even worse. So could have damaging straight line winds, but I'm more concerned about the tornado risk. And here's your significant wind risk, and you can see they've kind of pulled us out of that a little bit. So unfortunately this looks more like a big tornado risk for much of the deep south. We're also concerned about large hail all across the region. Could have, again, upwards of baseball-sized hail, not out of the question tomorrow in some of these discrete, isolated supercells. First time I've ever seen this. This is all of our region involved in the damaging hail zone, and damaging hail is defined as $half size or greater. So going to be a big day tomorrow, no matter which way you look at it. Level 4, level 5 risk. We've hit the top of the chart in terms of the risk outlook here. And just to dive into this a bit, because it is a rare event, last time we had one of these, a level 5 risk for any part of our area, it looked kind of similar to this, as a matter of fact. It was back in 2021, and it included a part of West Alabama here. Last time we had one of these that was kind of centered on our local area was back on, I think it was March 1st of 2007. We had an EF4 tornado in Miller's Ferry and another one that hit Enterprise High School. A lot of folks remember that over in the Wiregrass, Enterprise, Alabama. And so that was a level 5 risk day. And we got another level 5 risk day coming up tomorrow. And there could be some long track tornadoes in through here. Maybe some significant, big, violent tornadoes that are on the ground for quite some time. So again, I don't say that to scare you, but I do say that to say, now is the time for you to help me out, if you will, please, and help me get the information out. Because if you're watching this live stream, odds are you are more weather aware on a daily basis than most folks. That's not universally true, but it's mostly true. We know from the research we've done. And so what that means is you can help us get the information out. So tag someone in those comments below if you're watching on Facebook or on X or Twitter, to help us get the word out about this. This is a major severe weather risk. And just to kind of call this out from a historical perspective, I want to call out some of the folks involved in the level 5 risk. You've got Thomasville, Coffeyville, Morven, Campbell, Sweetwater, Butler, Gilbertown, areas near Silas, Toxie, Livingston, York, Demopolis, Linden, Utah, Aliceville, Tuscaloosa, Northport, areas near Gordo, Birmingham, Alabaster, Bessemer, areas near Centerville, Marion, Greensboro, Selma. You've also got Billingsley, Clanton, areas near Lake Martin and Alexander City, Rockford, Talladega, Leeds, Anniston, Aniana, all involved in the level 5 out of 5 risk. Here's the local view, and this is South Alabama and Northwest Florida. So again, up here in parts of Washington, Clark, Choctaw, Marengo, Wilcox counties points north. Level 5 for you. Danger zone, most danger zone up here. Could have intense tornadoes. But even in this level 4 risk, I don't want to get so caught up in the level 5, the biggest one, that we forget about this. This only happens about once, maybe twice a year. So just know, even if you're not in the purple zone, the red zone is still quite bad. And we could have significant EF3 plus tornadoes across our region. Mobile, Fairhope, Spanish Fort, Daphne, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, Loxley, Pensacola, Pace, Milton, Century, Bruton, Atmore, Flomaton, Monroeville, Grove Hill, areas near Evergreen, Belleville, Repton, Lenox, Opp, Andalusia, Florella, areas near Greenville, Georgiana, Crestview, Destin, Navarre, back over to Gulf Breeze, Orange Beach, Bayou La Battery, back over into the Florida Panhandle, areas near Chipley, back over to the Wiregrass, Dothan, Geneva, Ozark, Abbeville, Eufaula. If I just called you out, you have a major severe weather risk as we get into your Saturday. Yes, long track tornadoes will be possible all across this region. So have a way to hear warnings. There's no doubt about it. Timing. Tonight, if you are west of this first line, you have a severe weather risk tonight. And there could be some issues back here in West Alabama and Mississippi overnight into tomorrow morning. However, most of us across South Alabama and Northwest Florida are in this zone from 2 p.m. Saturday to 4 a.m. Sunday. Now, that's a bit later than previously suggested. Noon to 3 a.m. Sunday was kind of the guidance that we gave a bit earlier, but I think this is going to be more in line with reality a bit later, 2 p.m. Saturday to 4 a.m. Sunday for nearly all of us across South Alabama and Northwest Florida. So I want to break this down. This is what our risk level looks like in that level 4 risk. This is you if you're in the level 4 risk. It's driven by the potential for intense tornadoes. That's the highest risk zone. Could have damaging straight-line winds, large hail, power outages, as well as a good bit of lightning. However, specifically for Clark and Washington counties and points north and West Alabama, you're at a level 5 tornado risk. And so you got to have a way to hear warnings. That's the key message. Be able to get those warnings. Most folks that have problems in tornadoes, it happens consistently with two things. They either don't get the warning or they don't do something about it when they get a warning and they don't protect their head. You got to have a tornado helmet. Let's look one more time at the projected radar over here in West Alabama. This is valid at 1 a.m. So this is valid tonight in just a few hours at 1 a.m. Could have big storms in progress near Tuscaloosa by that point. We'll be watching trends across West Alabama. This is your high risk zone where we're expecting the greatest potential for a few significant, potentially long track tornadoes as we get into Saturday. Look at this, big cluster of supercells firing in what could be a classic textbook tornado outbreak on Saturday. It ramps up as we get into the afternoon hours. Not what you want to see in parts of Mississippi and Alabama. So it's something we'll be watching. Now, let's look at some of the ingredients because unfortunately, there's not many limiting factors with this event. In other words, we're looking for what could go wrong in the forecast. And we don't see much in the way of things that could potentially limit storm formation tomorrow afternoon specifically. The one overnight into tomorrow morning is more questionable. But the big deal, the main event, is much more certain as we get into Saturday p.m. into early Sunday morning. Lower Cape values earlier on. In other words, surface-based instability, storm fuel is going to be at a minimum for areas farther to the east overnight, but those numbers are going to start screaming as we get into Saturday afternoon. Keep in mind, you're seeing numbers like 2,500 here, 2,100, 1,600, 1,400. Anything above really 400 or 500 is significant enough to warrant concern for severe weather issues, even lower than that in some cases, but really 400 to 500 is kind of the baseline. And as we get into tomorrow night, this look is valid at 10 o'clock tomorrow night. We're looking at numbers like this, in excess of 2,000. So there's going to be plenty of instability for storms to work with while they're coming across our local area as we get into Saturday and Saturday night. We're also not really concerned about the low-level jet. And when I say not concerned, it's going to be pretty stout here with numbers in excess of 60 or 70 miles per hour, winds at 5,000 feet above the surface of the earth. This is an interesting product. This is called updraft helicity. And just to kind of break this down a bit, these are not necessarily tornado paths. But what these are, this is kind of a model representation of mid-level rotation. In other words, the mesocyclones that parent the tornadoes that touch the surface of the earth, these are the tracks of where those might be. So again, these probably all won't be tornadoes, but I show this to say there could be some tornadoes under some of these paths that you see here. 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon could have a few tornadoes down across southeast Mississippi and west Alabama. 7 o'clock tomorrow night could have more areas of rotation coming in from the west. And so updraft helicity notable, especially across parts of west Alabama as we get into tomorrow afternoon and really extending into tomorrow night. And you see, 10 o'clock tomorrow night, we could have some rotation paths across the region. These are not as pronounced as what are happening to the north, but they're still there. And so that tells me that there's still plenty of energy for these storms to work with. And there's that ramp up that I kind of mentioned a few minutes ago with storms moving from west to east across our region. It seems like they're ramping up while they're pushing out to our east. And so that could be a big concern for parts of southeast Alabama and the Florida Panhandle region for areas east of Destin, like Panama City, Port St. Joe, Blountstown, and Mariana. And so it's something to watch. We'll be watching that in coverage, of course, tomorrow night. You may be wondering, how much rain are we going to get? Probably not very much. These are going to be spotty storms, especially at first, and then that stout round of supercells will be moving through tomorrow evening. Upwards of an inch of rain locally, higher rain amounts in the Tennessee Valley. Now, many of you have seen this, and I realize that I am, really hitting this home every time we do severe weather coverage, but now is the time, if there ever were a time, to take a screenshot of this if you haven't already. This is what you do in a tornado warning, and the most important thing on this list is this: have a tornado helmet ready. In fact, if you have a picture, I'd love to see the tornado helmets tonight in the comments below because we would love to see you getting prepared. So share those in the comments below. That would be immensely helpful. You don't have to be underground to survive a tornado, but it's the best possible place to be: basement or storm shelter. If you don't have that, that's fine. You get to the lowest floor of a well-built structure, interior, small room, putting as many walls as you can between you and the outside world. You want to insulate yourself. That's the concept and the idea. Those helmets are super important. By the way, here's your next 7 days, and severe storms tomorrow. A level 5 out of 5 risk for parts of west central Alabama. Better weather on the way for Sunday and Monday. So something to look forward to. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm sure many of you are as well. So again, an ongoing tornado watch to our west tonight. This is valid until 10 o'clock. We may get another tornado watch a bit later for parts of west Alabama. Maybe that's a possibility. And certainly tomorrow afternoon, I expect a tornado watch for parts of our area because of this. We have a level 4 out of 5 severe weather risk in place for nearly all of us across South Alabama and Northwest Florida. You can't be in a mobile home during a tornado warning. I have nothing against mobile homes. They're an affordable form of housing. But you can't be in one during a tornado warning when we get warnings tomorrow. So go ahead and have a plan in place. Know where you would go. We lose more people across the state of Alabama in mobile homes than any other place in tornadoes, time and time again. So again, we want you in a well-built, site-built structure. No driving, by the way. We'll be doing that tomorrow. We'll call out the roads that are involved in these tornado warnings to give you advance warning so you can get off the roads. Second place that people perish in tornado warnings in terms of the numbers here, mobile homes are a clear front runner. Cars and vehicles are number 2. So no cars, no mobile homes. Level 4 out of 5 risk for most of us, higher level 5 high risk for West Alabama. I'll have plenty of updates posted overnight in the Red Zone Weather app. And of course, if we happen to have tornado warnings overnight for parts of West Alabama, we'll come on and stay live until the warnings are over. And my next video will be posted tomorrow morning. So be sure to join me for the latest then. And join us in live tornado warning coverage for South Alabama and Northwest Florida tomorrow afternoon, evening, and into the overnight hours. It's going to be a long day tomorrow, so go ahead and pop some popcorn and be ready because it's going to be a long day. We'll be with you every step of the way. Plenty of updates even when I'm not live in the Red Zone Weather app. On behalf of all of us at Red Zone Group LLC, I'm meteorologist Spinks Megginson saying goodbye for now. I do hope you have a wonderful Friday evening. Please stay safe this weekend.
Be sure to find us across social media, and don't forget to download the free Red Zone Weather app and set up your customized alerts. Please support our Red Zone Weather sponsors who make our coverage possible every single day.